Okay, started meeting, admit all. Here we go. Hello, everyone. We'll get started here in just a couple minutes. We've got about 120 people registered for today, so we'll give them just a second to get on before we get started. Thank you for being here today. Caitlin, you are a presenter, so if I get started and you see people in the waiting room, if you could please let them in, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. All right, while we get everyone admitted, if you want to, you can use the chat function to introduce yourself and let us know where you're joining from. It's always nice to see where everyone is. We're going to give it just one more minute here. We've still got quite a few people coming in. All right, Pittsburgh, Goddard, Ottawa, Burlington, Wichita, Parsons, Topeka, Osborne, McDonald, Kannapolis, Hoisington, Girard, Liberal. You guys are from all over. This is fantastic. Arc City, Kansas City, Dodge City, Newton. This is great. Independence. Hi, JC. Judy from Bird City. Fantastic. All right, it is 1:01. We'll watch that lobby to make sure we're not leaving anybody hanging, but we're going to go ahead and get started so we can be good stewards of everyone's time. I am Sarah Bloom. I'm the Quality Places Director at Kansas Commerce. We are part of the Quality Places division at Commerce, which is fairly new in the last 2 years. If you've never heard of us, we are made up of 5 different divisions, which include the Office of Rural Prosperity, Kansas Main Street, the Office of Broadband Development, Community Development Block Grants, and then Caitlin and I's division, which is the Quality Places Specialist Division. And we get what I like to say, all the fun stuff. We get placemaking and childcare and housing and community empowerment, just a wide variety of things that we get to work on. And we enjoy doing it. All of us cover the entire state. And we have a great team working for communities like yours. Today, we are here to talk about the Signs Grant and make sure the slides are working. Everybody see that okay? Did it transition over? Perfect. Thank you, Caitlin. So we're talking about the Signs Grant, which stands for Supporting Innovative Growth Through New Signage. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about what the grant is, the funding behind it, the program timeline, how to apply. We're going to show you the website, and then there's going to be 2 different opportunities for questions. So we're going to take a break in the middle and talk about some questions. We'll have another opportunity at the end of this for questions. But as you think of questions, please, by all means, use the Q&A function of this meeting. You can also use the chat function. Caitlin's going to be helping me watch for those questions as they come in. We just won't address them until we get to those question sections. So be patient with us, but please put them in the chat as you think of them so we don't miss anything that you want to know about. Let's jump right in. All right, so what is the goal of the Signs Grant? This is a grant opportunity that we are hoping increases business visibility and revenue. We are trying to strengthen commercial corridors, specifically downtowns, but really we're here to support the identity and business competitiveness of your businesses in your city. We want to drive revenue for them, drive foot traffic for them, create signs that create attention. And you always hear you never want to judge a book by its cover. In this case, we do. We want people to judge that book and we want them to read it. So that is what the Signs Grant is for. It's here to attract customers and drive commerce. Why does it matter? These signs will attract customers and they will increase foot traffic. It improves visibility, it improves walk-in chances, for both retail and restaurants. It just enhances the look and feel of our downtowns, of those commercial districts. It makes people, whether they are residents or visitors, feel comfortable and feel like it's a place they want to stay. This is focused on downtown and commercial areas, and we'll get into a little bit more of what a commercial district is and how we're defining it for this grant later. But it's supporting multiple businesses. Please know if you're a business owner on this call, we are so glad you're here, but we are expecting to do 3 to 5 businesses in every community. So if you are a business owner, you do need to find other businesses in your district to partner with you on this grant. There is an emphasis on creative, distinctive signage. And again, we're going to talk about this a little bit later. If you applied for this grant last year, it's a little bit different. We are not asking for you to have your designs ready when you apply. We're asking you to be willing to work with an artist on this grant to create something really wonderful and eye-catching for your business. That doesn't mean we're going to ignore your business branding. It doesn't mean we're going to ignore your historical districts and those requirements. We just want the willingness to work with an artist and create something really wonderful together. Eligible communities, populations of less than 50,000. There are required cash matches for each community depending on your size. Populations that are greater than 2,500, there's a 50% match. Populations of less than 2,499, there's a 25% match. Eligible applicants. Municipalities, Main Street organizations, chambers of commerce, economic development groups, nonprofits, foundations, any one of these are eligible to apply on behalf of those 3 to 5 businesses within that commercial district.
Hey, Jenna.
Hello. Sorry, I'm going to mute everybody. We're going to open it for questions in just a little bit. Eligible businesses, any retail or restaurant establishments, any business that is serving walk-in customers who are purchasing goods and services on site, and they have to be located in those qualifying commercial districts, which I promise, again, we're going to talk about in just a second. So we've had a lot of questions about nonprofits, chamber offices, city and county offices. We've had a call on food trucks. Those are not eligible. We are looking for brick and mortar businesses inside a commercial district that are directly driving commerce, and we're going to help with those signs to hopefully drive more commerce. Clicked out of the PowerPoint. There we go. So those qualifying commercial districts, what do they look like? We're looking for traditional Main Street downtowns, not necessarily Main Street. If your Main Street is named Chestnut Street, that's okay. But your main downtown street, urban corridors with street-oriented businesses, historic districts. What we're not looking for is strip centers. We're not looking for highway commercial districts. We're not looking for residential areas. One of the other businesses that we got called on a lot is, hey, I own this car repair shop. It's out on the highway, or it's in my home. It's out of my garage. That's not going to qualify. We're looking for strong clusters of businesses that are attracting people to a specific district. What qualifies as a sign? These are the different signs that will qualify for this grant. Building and facade signs, which are attached to typically the flat and the exterior of the building. A blade sign, which is a sign that projects from the building. A pole sign, which is not connected to the building. It's eligible if it's historic, being restored, and not black backlit plastic. An awning counts as long as the awning has text and graphics that are pointing to the business, it will qualify, but it does need to be a sign. If it's just a black awning with no words and no graphics, it does not qualify. And then the last one is the painted wall sign. This is not a mural. This is a sign that is directing people into the business, and it needs to be as such. It needs to have your business name and logo. We need to talk about different specifications, things like that. It does count, but it cannot be a mural. We have other grant funding for murals if that's what you're looking for. I also want to say we are not funding wayfinding signage. That's probably the next most asked question we get is, hey, my city just needs a sign that says, welcome to XYZ, the hospital's this way, the schools are this way. That is not what we're funding here. We are funding business signage to drive commerce. We do have 125,000 available in funds this year. Each community may request up to 25,000 in grant funds. Funded projects must include, again, a minimum of 3 signs, a maximum of 5. You can, as the applicant, if you're the chamber, the foundation, or the nonprofit, the city, you can allocate different funding amounts to each sign based on their size, design, and project needs. So if someone just needs a small blade sign, but someone else needs a large facade sign, that's okay. You can give them different amounts, but you only get 25,000 for those 3 to 5 signs that you're applying for. A quick example of what those matching funds could look like for budgetary purposes when you get into the application is something like this. Because maybe, again, you're not going to be giving us a lot of details on the signs in the application because that's what we want you to work on with these artists and with these sign fabricators. So how do you plan for those matching funds? How do you plan to show that you have those matching funds? How do you budget for this? This is just a quick example for communities that are requiring a 50% match. This is kind of what we could anticipate to see in your grant. Let's say you're planning on 3 signs, which would equal about $8,333 per business. We're just dividing that 25,000 by 3. That would mean that each of those businesses would require a match of roughly $4,100 per sign. So each business could plan on budgeting $4,100, and that's what they would need to have proof of funds in the application for. It's half of what the grant amount would be. If you, the applicant, is planning on covering that, it simplifies it a little bit. You would just need the half of the 25,000, but if we're looking at each individual business contributing, that would be their share. So that would lead to an estimated total project cost of around $2,500 per sign. Again, this is going to vary. This is just an example to help you in the application process of what you could anticipate putting down. Some eligible expenses, really anything to do with the sign design, sign planning, the purchase, the building of it, the attaching it of it, exterior lighting, electrical, installation costs, including mortar work counts. And if you have someone writing this grant for you, up to 10% of those administration costs are also eligible expenses. Ineligible expenses include facade or interior improvements, temporary signage or marketing signs. If you're looking to put vinyl on a window, that is temporary signage. We are looking for signs that are going to last a long time. Internally lit plastic franchise signs, signs that are not completed by a professional, all of those are ineligible expenses. Okay, I know that was a lot of information, so we're going to take a quick break for questions before we jump into the application process. So if you'd like to unmute, you are more than welcome to unmute, and we'll also look at the chat here. Yeah, Molly wants to see the list of eligible expenses once again. There you go, Molly. No problem. Any other questions as far as what you can apply for, how you can plan for this? Can you confirm that communities with more than 50,000 in population are ineligible? Yes, that is true. This is for communities of less than 50,000 in population. The match criteria. Diana, what do you need explained again?
Just turn my mic on. Hi. I'm just asking the match criteria. I didn't quite get that. So a 50% match for a population of how many?
Yep, of 2,500 or larger.
Larger than 2,500. And what was the other?
The other is
Was there
25
another?
per match. Anybody smaller than 2,500 is a 25% match.
So 25 match for less than 2,500
You got it.
population.
Yep.
And greater than. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
No problem. Let's see. We have a gymnastics studio interested in our downtown that does walk-in classes and other classes. Would that qualify or only retail and dining? If the gymnastics studio is selling any product and generating commerce and paying state taxes, then yes, they would qualify. But if they are not doing any of the above, then they would not. Insurance businesses, hair salons. I've never walked into a hair salon that's not selling some kind of product, so I imagine they would absolutely count. Insurance businesses, I'm not sure on. That would be one that I would need to find an answer for. I mean, I'm sure you're paying taxes on the insurance you're selling, but it's not a retail product. So let me do some digging on insurance businesses. I don't know the answer to that one. By community, do you mean township, or does it count to have 3 to 4 businesses in a specific county? This time around, we are looking at districts and cities. So it needs to be within the same city and the same commercial district. Could the 3 to 5 businesses be located in one large building and sign grant cover signage for all businesses on the main building? Yes, as long as they are 3 to 5 separate businesses and there's separate areas within the building. Now, if they're all, if it's one giant room with 5 desks, probably not. But if they have their own separate areas and possibly even entrances, then yes, that would be fine. If a community received the grant last year, are they eligible to apply for the grant again this year? Yes, you are eligible to apply again, even if you received it last year. The required match comes from the business. The required match comes from whoever you as the applicant need it to come from. We saw a lot of different situations last year. Some 100% of the match came from the businesses. Some 100% came from community foundations. Some the cost was split. We saw several cities even donate small portions of the match to each business, and to encourage them to apply, they said, we'll go ahead and put up $500 per sign to help with the match. So it's however it works best for your situation. I would say 95% of what we saw last year was a majority of the businesses covering that match. Yes. Let's see. When does the reimbursement or payout occur? The reimbursement or it's not a reimbursement, it is a payout. As soon as you are awarded, the full amount gets awarded to the community. The sign cost, Jordan, that's going to vary, and we won't know any of that up front because, again, in the application, you basically have to prove a need for these sign-ins. You have to prove that the commercial district is in need of these signs, that the businesses are in need of these signs. But we won't know specific details on the design or the size or the location of the signs until you've worked with an artist and you've worked with a sign fabricator. So if you have a current sign that you're hoping to just replace, it would probably be beneficial to talk to some sort of a sign fabricator to get an estimate of the cost to make sure that you know what you're getting into. But we won't have any of those final details figured out until we're into the program timeline and we're working with those artists and those sign fabricators. So as far as estimating the cost, I'm going to sneak back to this slide. A 12,000, if you're looking at a $12,500 sign, the business's portion in a community of greater than 2,500 would be $4,166. We did not have a lot of signs that cost more than $12,000 last year. Keep that in mind. But this is something we can talk through on the back end. If you have a sign and you want us to take a look at it, you want us to talk to some sign fabricators, we can help with that. But this is kind of the model that we're encouraging at this time. Would a mechanical workshop / car related retail shop be acceptable? Yes, Diana, as long as they are in the district, then yes. But again, if they are working out of their garage in a retail area or they're out by themselves on a highway, they would not qualify for this. Would this be a qualification or disqualification because it's backlit plastic? We would have to talk on that one offline. It depends on if you're looking to just replace it or if you are willing to work with an artist on it. So if the community was less than 2,500 in population and 5 businesses are applying, that would be 5,000 per business with a 1,250 match, correct? Or a total of 6,000. Yes, that is correct. I'm not great at math right off the bat here. Let me make sure, but I do believe you are interpreting that correctly. Yes. Are there specific vendors to work with for the sign? So, Karen, there will be a roster of artists for you to work with that is actually being designed right now by our Kansas Arts Commission. They will have that roster completed for us by the time awards are made on these projects. They have sent out information to all current roster artists, and they will be sending out information to all potential artists on Friday. So we will have that roster soon as far as artists to help design these. We do not offer a list of fabricators to work with. We can provide, we have a list, but we can't make recommendations off of it. But we do have a list that we can provide. Depending on where you are and if you have past experience with others, you can pick whoever you'd like. Preference will be given to Kansas-based businesses. Is there a fee required to work with the artist you are wanting us to work with? Do you pick the artist or do we? You will pick the artist based on the roster artist that is being created right now. There are specific fees for the artists. There's a maximum fee and a minimum fee. We can go through all of that. It should be in the guidelines, and I will pull those up. Let's see. If the 50% is less than the full amount awarded, do we return the amount left over? Yes. I'm trying to mute, but I can't. Okay, so yes, let me get back to the questions here. My chat just disappeared. There it is. Okay, if 50% is less than the full amount awarded, do we return the amount left over? Yes, so if your sign comes in under budget, you would take the full amount and you would make sure that the match is still only that 50% of the grant. And if that doesn't work out, then we can help you do the math. But yes, we did have 2 signs come in under budget last year and they did have to return funds. So we do watch that. It will be part of the final reporting process. You'll have to turn in, receipts and proof of expenses. And yes, we will watch that. And if it's less, then you will return funds. Can the artist and the fabricator be the same person? Yes, I do anticipate that these sign fabricators and graphic designers who have been doing this for a long time will apply to be on that roster. And if that's the case, they can absolutely be the same person. How do we pick the artist? It is an application process. So they will go through an application process and they will have to submit designs and qualifications in order to be added to the roster. We have a logo that was created by a Topeka artist and is tied to our brand and website. We have tried to carry this through all of our signs, menus, and labeling, so that is an icon and recognize. Yeah, Karen, we recognize that. We will honor business branding throughout this process. We just need you to be open to what the sign potential could be, but we're not going to redesign logos. We're not going to hurt your overall branding. That is not the intention. Any other questions before we jump into the less fun stuff of how to apply?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
It's not allowing me to type in the chat for some reason.
I'm sorry, Grant.
That's okay.
Oh, Grant County.
So do we need to have the signs designed and assigned to a person and all that for the application, or are we just applying for a lump sum and then seeing how it fits in?
Yep, you are applying for a lump sum and proving the need for the signage, and then the design and final budgets will be worked out in the process of the program.
Perfect. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah, Callie's asking for a list of qualified signs. So I'm going to guess what signs count this list, Callie? Perfect. All right, I'll leave that for just a second. Any other questions before we jump into the application side of it?
Sarah, there is one more question in the Q&A portion
Okay.
from Liz Shepard. It says, I have an art gallery that is under an LLC, DBA. Can the several businesses be owned by the same LLC under the same building and signage?
They can be owned by the same LLC and in the same building as long as there are separate areas. I'm going to say the same thing for the previous question. This feels like the same question. Yes, multiple businesses within the same building can qualify as long as they are separated in some way within the building. And yes, one business owner can own multiple businesses. Okay, and Sarah, I see you commented on Liz about providing a list of sign fabricators. We have that list. We can provide that, yes.
By Janine.
Sorry? Okay, I'm going to jump back to the chat. Kate from the Arts Commission is on. Hi, Kate. She said, we are working to finalize the signs artist roster. If there are any artists you've worked with in the past, please pass the information for the roster along to them. They are welcome to apply to the roster. So yes, again, if you've worked with past graphic designers or past sign fabricators and you think they need to be on our list, please share that information. Kate, will that be available on the Arts Commission page on Friday? Okay, perfect. We'll get that announcement out very soon for roster applications. Okay. All right, we're going to jump into application criteria. So this is what you can expect to fill out when you're filling out the application. Tell us the need. Why do you need these new signs? Are the old ones, the wrong logo, the wrong business, they're falling apart? What is the need? Tell us the current sign condition. Describe your commercial district. Project approach. This is, again, your willingness to work with sign fabricators and artists. How are you going to approach this project? Are you dead set that it has to be a blade sign or a facade sign, or are you open to ideas and suggestions? Who's on the project team? Photos of the current conditions of your building and your signs. Letters from the building owners if needed. We assume that they will always be needed, but if you're the actual building owner filling out the application, you're good. But in most cases, we will need letters from the building owner saying that, yes, they've been approached. Yes, they're willing to go through this process. Yes, they need the new sign. And then optional are letters of support, whether that's from the chamber or the CVB or the Economic Development Office. Letters of support describing, again, the commercial district and how they will help support the business owners in this process as well. And then proof of matching funds. And again, we've given you that example of what that could look like. Whether it's a screenshot of the bank account or it's a blank check, whatever that looks like, we just need proof of matching funds that the businesses are all in or your foundation is all in. Someone is ready with those matching funds. The timeline for this, applications are already open. They will close on February 28th, 2026. You will be notified by April if you have been awarded. And then that's when the fun begins. The trainings and the design, the fabrication, the installation, the evaluations, all of that will start after the awards. To get into that just a little bit more, this is what to expect if you're awarded. In April, we will have 2 virtual trainings. We'll talk about what makes a good sign. We'll talk about possible artists and fabricators. In May and June, we will be working with those fabricators and those artists to finalize your designs, to finalize your budget, to make sure we're all on the same page before we, purchase anything, do anything. July through September will be the fabrication and installation of the signs. And then there will also be 3 months where you assess the effectiveness of the signs. Has it increased your foot traffic? Has it helped with commerce? What's the buzz around the community? Has it changed the perception of your downtown district? Things like that are what we're hoping for in those evaluations. Design and fabrication. Again, you're going to work with an approved artist or designer from the Kansas Arts Commission roster. You must follow the Quality Places signage guide, which we have on our website. I'll show you that in a second. And preference for installation of signs, it will be given to Kansas-based businesses. That's the application in a nutshell. We're going to jump over to the website and just show you what that looks like here. Okay. Can you see the website? Caitlin, did that pop up okay? Perfect. Love it when things work. Okay, so this is our website, kansascommerce.gov/signs. So this is where you will go for all information for signs. The program guidelines are basically what we've just talked about. This goes into great detail of the purpose, the funding, the applicants, much more detail than what we have covered today. So this is out there for you to read through. It'll tell you all the requirements, what to expect, how we're going to evaluate the applications. Everything is within those guidelines. The Quality Place Signage Guide is also out there on the website. And again, this is just what is a good sign? How should you be attracting foot traffic? What are historic signs versus pole signs? What should you avoid if you're in a historical district? General guidelines. All of that's in here as well for you to take a look at if you'd like. On the website as well, this will change from a register here for the webinar to a recording of today's webinar if you want to go back and watch it. You can also apply now. Register your account is step 1. This is through a platform called Salesforce, and it will ask you to register your account and tell us which business you are. Once you are registered, you will be able to apply for the application. You will see a window like this. You'll go ahead and log in once registered, and you will see a list of all available grants through the Department of Commerce right now. It's the application gateway. You're going to scroll down to signs and click Learn More and Apply. It'll take you through a little bit of a process to make sure you are who you say you are. So you'll select Sarah Test Account or whatever your business name is. Is that really who you want to apply under? It is. And then you will actually see the application after you click Start. Few steps. See how fast my internet is today. There it goes. Okay, so this is your organization. It'll walk you through everything that we've already told you need. Here's your capacity assessment, project addresses. This is where you'll insert 3 to 5 addresses of the businesses who you are applying on behalf of. Describe your need for signage, the current condition of signage, commercial district. Like I said, everything we've just talked about, this is going to walk you right through. There shouldn't be any surprises because all of this is in the guidelines. Places to upload all of the files. and you're done. It's a pretty short application. If you have any issues with any of it, you can always reach out to myself and we will walk you through it, no problem. So that is the application in a nutshell. I'm going to jump back to the PowerPoint here. Except I want to start from the last slide. And it's not going to let me. No, we'll just go through them all real fast. Okay. All right. So that is all I have. What additional questions can we answer after walking through the application? I go to the chat here. Okay, what if I already have an account for a different grant that is open and working on behalf of the multiple business owners for this grant? That's really fine. If you already have a Salesforce account, then you shouldn't have any problem filling out this grant application. You'll be applying on behalf of those businesses within that application, but there's a place, as I showed, where to put their addresses and their contact information. But if you already have an account, you are way ahead of the game and you shouldn't have any problem finding this grant and getting that application started. How many applied for the Signs grant last year and how many were awarded? We awarded, I don't have those exact numbers. It would take me a second to find them. We did just over 50 signs last year. I don't know how many signs were applied for. It was a lot, but this is a very different grant from last year. We learned a lot last year, and we have changed this grant program drastically from the previous year. So I don't know that we can judge how many we're going to get this year based off of last year. Individual businesses could apply. It could be county-wide projects. I mean, it was drastically different last year, but we have completed over 50 signs across the state based on last year's program already. Let's see, Kate, you're awesome answering questions. So as the economic developer, would I fill out the application for all the businesses? Yes, Ashley, that's exactly how it would work. You would be applying on behalf of the businesses. The check would get cut to you. You would distribute it to the businesses. How many different grants can a community apply for at one time with the Department of Commerce, such as CDB? You can apply for as many as you would like. There is no limit to the number of grants you can apply for at Commerce. Kelly, I see your hand up. Do you have a question for us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So on the budget piece per business, I guess, so we're under 2,500, so we would have 25% match. But let's say, hypothetical, I got 5 businesses, but what each business can contribute is what their budget is going to be different. So let's say I have one business that says, all I can do for my match is $1,000, which means that would be a $4,000 sign. And let's say I know another business, like their sign is going to have to be bigger. So it's going to be a more expensive sign, probably no matter what they are going to want to do. So I almost feel like I need to tell them, like, it's not, I guess that it's just not going to be a straight 1/5 for everybody. Especially if somebody says, I can't just afford 1/5. I mean, how does that play into that? Especially if somebody says, all I can afford is 1,000.
Yeah, if it was up to me, Kelly, if they say I can only afford 1,000, then I would only apply for that amount on their behalf and let them know up front, okay, that means that your budget for your sign is this. And then when we go into the program planning of it, we know that that's our budget for that business. Unless they can find outside, again, if the city wants to help contribute, if a foundation wants to help contribute, that may change things. But if a business comes in with a maximum, then you also have a maximum of, okay, that's great, but here's your maximum sign.
Okay, and then I guess the sign maker understands that's their budget too. Like, so whenever they're doing the design, they understand they just can't go crazy or whatever.
Yes, yep, yeah, and that would go for the artist and the fabricator. We would make sure that there is a hard budget in place for those businesses.
Okay, right, gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Let's see, I don't see anything else in chat. Let me make sure. Let's see, we got Kelly. Okay, any other questions? I think the only one that I haven't really answered is the artist breakdown of fees, and I have that broken down. I believe it's in the guidelines. I'm going to double check that. If it's not, we will get that added to our website. Again, I'm going to go to the website really quickly again. Down here, there is some additional information. We will be adding a frequently asked questions to this today. And so we will make sure that if it's not in the guidelines, that artist fee breakdown is on the website in this section. So please be watching for that. If the business has an in-house graphic designer and they apply as an artist, if used, would that create any change in the grant award? How would they intertwine? I can follow up specifically with Kate if needed. If they apply and they are added to the roster, the business can absolutely use that graphic designer. It wouldn't change anything. We would still want to make sure that that graphic designer is compensated for their work. So in my mind, it changes nothing. As long as they are an artist on that roster, we're just going to make sure that they get compensated. We will share the slides and the recording out after this is done. Everything will also be available on the website. Is the grant award the amount you ask for, none at all, or could you be awarded a partial amount of your request based on the funding availability? In this case, I don't anticipate awarding any partial grants because I do anticipate businesses, I do anticipate cities asking specifically for certain number of businesses with budgets in mind, as Kelly was just describing. So I don't anticipate awarding partial grants in this case. I can't say that for a fact until we get into the grants, but that would be my knee-jerk reaction right now. To clarify, we choose, and let me say this too, just because you're awarded doesn't mean you have to accept it too. That there is flexibility in all of this. If we do award a partial and you say there's just no way we can do it, you're not obligated to enter into that contract with us either. I hope you do, but you're not obligated to sign that contract if you really feel it won't work for you. To clarify, we choose the fabrication company and they do not need to be on any specific list. That is correct. The only list you're using is the artist roster list. You can use whatever fabricator you would like. Any other questions? I know we've covered a lot in a very short amount of time, but I hope this has been helpful. I hope if you've applied last year that we've hit on all of the changes and things to be aware of. Perfect, thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put the PowerPoint slide back up with my contact information. That way, if you have any questions, you will have it. Well, let me play from this slide. So rude. Well, we'll just go to the end again. Okay, this is my email. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
It's still showing the website, Sarah.
What?
Yeah.
Man, well, it's been working so great. Ah, of course it's not. I don't know what to do then. Hold on.
I think you could scroll down on the website.
We'll just do this. There you go. There's my contact information. Thanks, Caitlin.
Oh, I think your screen must just be frozen.
Oh.
Yeah, it's still showing about signs, but.
Okay. We'll just put it in the chat then. Okay. There's my contact information. It's in the chat. Please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you for joining today. Like I said, we will share this recording and all the PowerPoint slides on the website, along with frequently asked questions that we will update on a weekly basis. Please reach out if you have questions. We will leave this webinar open here for the next 5 to 10 minutes in case other questions come up. But if you feel like you are good, you are welcome to sign off and we will get this uploaded as quickly as we can. But again, thank you for joining. Good luck in the application process. Please reach out if you have any questions.
I think we had one question from Sarah Gerving at 141. What if we have a local artist? Can we get them registered on your state roster?
Yes, please. Yep, any artist is eligible to apply. I can't say that they'll be accepted. Again, it is an application process. And Kate, if you're still on, I don't know if you want to unmute and talk through that process at all. She may not be on anymore.
Oh, sorry, what? I had to take a call.
You're good. I didn't know if you would want to unmute and talk through the artist roster process, because we've got a lot of questions about what if we have local artists or our sign company has a graphic designer, can we get them registered?
Sure. Well, I can't give too many details about it because they're still being finalized. However, we will put out a broad call for applicants to that signs roster. So if there are people that you already know in your community that you've worked with before, just like Sarah said, we'll encourage those people to apply to the roster. Our plan is to make the process very streamlined and relatively simple. That's about all I can say at the moment, because until we have all of the details finalized, I don't want to give incorrect information. But the best thing to do is just to, once we launch the information, to just share with all the creative people that you're already working with in your communities. And yeah, as Sarah said, we will welcome their submission. So I kind of have info to share, but kind of not. Don't know if that's helpful. And I think Sarah's frozen. Looking in the chat. Yes, Liz Shepard, definitely be in touch. Jennifer, a link you can share where the application will be placed. I'm not exactly sure which application you mean.
Just the link to the signs application?
Well, we can certainly share that.
Or, oh, the
For
artist.
the artists. Not yet. Not yet. But once we have it, I'm sure we'll be able to send the information to everyone who registered for this info session. Caitlin, is that accurate?
Yes, we can.
Cool. So as I'm hoping we have that all finalized by, Sarah said tomorrow. I think that would be great. So then, yeah, we'll send things out via email.
And Sarah did confirm that everything is frozen for her. So we will answer questions for her as best we can. The chat is working for her. So if you have questions, you can add them in the chat and we will do our best to answer them.
So Amanda, are you asking if those businesses would qualify? I think Sarah will double check. Sounds good. All right, Caitlin, I'm going to hop off, but yes, anyone, we will have more information coming out soon. And thanks so much for your interest in this program and for being here today.
Thank you, Kate.
More to come. Thank you.
Yes, Amanda, they do need to sell retail products. Any other questions? You can still add them to the chat. If anyone thinks of any other questions, we'll be here a couple more minutes. All right. If we don't have any more questions, give it just one more minute in case anyone thinks of anything. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the webinar. If anybody thinks of any questions that you'd like to ask, you can always email Sarah at the contact info she put in the chat. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.